Rhody Strength podcast is now brought to you by Rob Levine, the heavy hitter. We've been really happy to have them jump on as a sponsor. I've personally used them this past year. My wife was in a car accident, and they were able to help us along every step of the way through getting properly compensated, making sure we weren't getting taken advantage of by the car insurance companies, and helping through with medical payments. So if you've been in a car accident, it's definitely worthwhile. Just pick up the phone and see how they can help. The Rhody Strength podcast is now sponsored by Athletic Painting and Carpentry. For all of your exterior painting, interior painting, cabinet and door resurfacing, cabinet installation, cabinet remodel, floor refinishing, carpentry, lead renovation, and power washing needs. Give them a call at 401-675-7973. Follow them on Instagram at athletic_painting_ and follow them on Facebook at Athletic Painting and Carpentry. They are an honest, local Rhode Island company that does great work. What's going on, guys? Dr. Matt here, host of the Rhody Strength podcast. We have another special guest on today, Beth. Please pronounce your last name for me.
Licopoli, I know it's a
Licopoli. I'm like, should I try to say it? I should have asked you before, probably, but Licopoli. Okay, yep, very cool. So you are the owner here, or co-owner here at CrossFit Diamond Hill.
Yes. In
Cumberland, Rhode Island. You have a couple cool things coming up. You're about to go to Legends.
Yes, so it's the CrossFit. It's still CrossFit, the Masters CrossFit competition, but it's put on by the Legends Championship.
Very cool. And they made that change, what, was it 2 years ago?
No, just this past year.
Oh, this past year.
This is going to be the first time the Masters are separate from, like, the rest of the group from the
CrossFit Games.
Yeah, from the open individuals, yeah.
Gotcha.
So, first time.
Very cool. And that's coming up in, well, at the time of recording, you're about 2 weeks away from that.
Yeah. It's going to be Labor Day weekend, and it's in Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we'll start that Thursday, whatever day that is, the 29th, I think.
And is it similar to the games where it's like a long weekend type of?
Yes. Yeah. So the competition runs Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So there's four days of competition. Right. I just found out that my age group, the 55 to 59, we will be doing a total of eight tests.
Okay.
So
Nice.
Just found that out.
That'll be fun. You'll be pretty tired by the end of the weekend.
Oh, yes, yes.
And you're also, just to give you some more of your background, you're an L2 CrossFit coach,
yep.
Certified in Olympic weightlifting, mobility, aerobic capacity,
yep.
Gymnastics, and I was even on your website, I think a few more other things that you have done certifications in the past as well.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, before CrossFit, I was certified through NASM as a personal trainer.
Cool. Okay.
And also I'm a Healthy Steps Nutrition HSN coach, so I've done courses with them as well to work with nutrition clients for coaching, which we do here as well.
Very cool. Yeah, that's and I want to talk about that later too, but that's one of the first things I noticed when I was doing some of the research for the podcast is how ingrained nutrition seems like you have like in your gym, with your membership, with the coaching.
Yes, it is. Cool. I think recently we've really kind of stepped it up there, but I mean, if you look at the pyramid for CrossFit, the base of the pyramid is nutrition. And like when people come into the gym when they're new, I'm always like, if you look here, this is the foundation, right? We have to have good nutrition and build from there.
Totally. So. And that's important too because like there's so much information out there so it's good to have some guidance.
Yes, there is. The internet is full of information and maybe some of it's misinformation.
Sure. Yeah, especially with nutrition.
Yes.
So to start the podcast off, I usually have some rapid fire questions, and these I think are kind of just fun. But so first one I have for you is favorite coffee shop in the area.
My favorite coffee shop in the area, well, actually, I'm going to say two because one's like further away from here.
Okay.
It's Borealis.
Yeah.
So I think it's like East Providence.
Yes, I know exactly. It's on the bike trail.
Yes, it's on the bike trail.
Yep.
Their coffee, love their coffee.
Very cool.
They also have a place in Greenwich now, which I think they open for East Greenwich.
East Greenwich, okay, yeah.
And a closer one that I like a lot is Fondati, which is in Lincoln. They do like a drip style coffee, which is really good.
I think I've also seen that, but I haven't been to either one of those places.
You should try them.
And I love coffee,
yes.
so.
I mean, I do love coffee, but since I've been in training, I try to just have 1 cup in the morning. So I've kind of limited it the past, I'd say, a year or so, like since November. But I still love it. So it's like a real treat when I have it.
Nice. So you do like one cup a day type of thing?
Yeah, 1 cup in the morning. Generally, that's it. And then I'll do like herbal tea or tea if I want something in the afternoon. And actually, I know Fondati has some good herbal teas too.
Nice.
So
No pre-workouts or any other caffeine.
I know.
Yeah.
I do not. I do, like, I sip on branched chain amino acids.
Totally.
But, I don't do pre-workout, no.
Gotcha. And it's something like you said, like as you're prepping for competition, you're really trying to like get the dialed
yes,
in.
Yeah. So.
Is that because you don't want to drink too much because you're not like recovering enough, or?
Yeah, I just think it will spike up your heart rate.
Yeah.
Right, to have too much of it. So I don't want to do it right before I work out.
Sure.
And I really do like coffee. So I work with Golden Line Training, Coach Greg Strootman. So I had gone to a seminar back in November that Golden Line had put on, and they were talking about like dialing everything in. And one of the suggestions was to cut out caffeine.
Sure.
And I know a lot of athletes probably do use it in pre-workout.
Sure.
I just choose not to. But I was like, I don't think I can totally give up coffee because I do like it.
I would be the same. No, I've heard that before. There's a weightlifter that I know who's used to prior to competition do the same thing, like start to like cut out caffeine a little. So I've heard it before, so I was just curious on that.
So and I found pre-workouts in general just made me jittery, or they just didn't sit right with me. So
sure, I like that. Cool. Next question, switching gears slightly, and you have a big nutrition background, so I'm curious on these ones. And they don't have to be like the most nutritious meals, but favorite go-to breakfast. This could be something that like you kind of just every day you kind of have the same thing, or you go out to eat, that type of thing.
Well, I was going to say right now it's pretty much the same thing because of being in training. So generally I do some form of oats, whether it's like overnight oats, or if I'm at home, I'll cook the oats and I'll have it with berries, like blueberries, raspberries, and a little bit of granola on top. And I do use like coconut milk. Another thing that I cut out just for training was gluten and dairy. So, and I'll have like a piece of fruit and an apple or something else. So that's pretty much my go-to meal since probably like February, March.
Nice.
Kind of really dialed it in, so pretty
very consistent.
Like,
no, that sounds delicious though. And with the overnight oats, I have made them before, but I probably don't do them right. You do literally just put them in the fridge the night before?
Yep. So I make it with, another thing I have is like I can't eat yogurt. A lot of recipes call for yogurt, but I just do it with the coconut milk. I do a scoop of protein powder, so I'm getting like the 25 to 30 grams there, and like a half cup of oats, and generally a half cup of berries, and just like a little bit of granola on top.
That's awesome.
So
That sounds super tasty and satisfying.
It is very tasty. I do like it, and it does. I feel like I used to eat eggs a lot in the morning, and I kind of switched over to the oats, and I just felt more energy having the oats.
It's funny.
That's what I found.
I just literally had this conversation with my buddy Max, who I swam with this morning. He's like, I go through these phases where I eat eggs for 6 months, and then I eat yogurt for 6 months, and I just switch back and forth. I'm like, I get that.
Yep. So I used to do eggs a lot, and then I switched over to the oats.
Cool.
So.
Well, and one further follow-up question on that. What do you like for protein? Like, do you have a specific brand that you like for that, or? Right
now, I've been using First Form.
Okay, yeah.
So I got introduced to it actually at the Legends competition that I did in Arizona back in December, and they were a sponsor. So they were giving out samples. So I tried their protein, and I've just been hooked on it. So
nice.
I've been using First Form.
Their marketing worked.
It did. It worked. It got me.
Next question we got is favorite restaurant. And this could be more of a guilty pleasure if you want, or just something maybe like you like in the area or in general.
I mean, lots of times previous to being really dialed in, I like to go out for brunch, breakfast. So I do like Nick's on Broadway a lot because also the food is like local food. Yeah. So I really like to go there. That would be like a real treat. I should tally up the answers to some of these questions because that one's got a couple tallies on there. I like Nick's on Broadway a lot. Next question we got favorite recent book, or if you're, I know a lot of people, especially gym owners, are quite busy. So if you're more of a podcast person, like maybe a recent podcast that you can sub out for that question instead. I was going to say, this is going to be for anybody. Actually, no, I do like to read. And probably like a couple years ago, my kids gave me a Kindle for, I think it was Mother's Day or my birthday, which has really actually helped me to read more because I was kind of missing it. Like being busier, it would be a hard time to find to read books. But now I have the Kindle. So generally before I go to bed at night, I'll read a little bit.
Cool.
But
Cool.
yeah, so I've read a lot more in the last couple of years because I kind of made committed to that because I did miss it, even if it's a little bit each night.
That's great.
Yeah.
Any specific like books or authors or anything that popped out recently that you liked?
Well, I recently read a book. It's called Lessons in Chemistry, and I
Okay.
know it's like a Netflix show, I think, too, as well.
Okay.
But it's just about women. One particular woman and women in science. And just what it was a struggle for her to be taken seriously in science. And then she ended up actually having like a cooking show, but she made it really like scientific.
Cool.
Not just like the typical, it was probably, I can't remember what year it was taking place, but it was a very interesting show and book, excuse me.
Yeah.
And just like what she went through. I know it was fictional to get
Sure.
to where she was and stuff. So I thought that was interesting.
Very
And I
cool.
do like to read like science-y books too sometimes, but
Awesome.
that was very good. I really enjoyed that.
I like it. That's a great answer.
Good book.
Next question is somewhere you've traveled recently. So you were at Legends in December.
Yes, in Arizona, which I had never been to, and it was really nice, especially since it was 80 degrees there and sunny, unlike here.
Yeah.
But I haven't done a whole lot of traveling lately.
Yeah.
And even with the gym, sometimes it's tough to get away.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're about to travel pretty soon, Alabama.
Yep, I'm going to go to Alabama. I've never been there either.
I haven't either. That'll be
so
cool.
it'll be my first time there.
Next question, we got favorite shoe or sneaker. In two parts to this. One is what do you like to train in, like for your workouts, and then maybe like just kind of like walking around, like or coaching, or could be the same answer, but
it's going to be the same. It's fine. Well, because I actually in this again from a couple of years ago. This sounds funny. From the Legends competition, they did one in Cookeville, Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
And that's Rich Roning's gym.
Yeah.
So he was at the time. I don't think he still is. Was like a Reebok
Sure,
athlete.
sure.
So we had Reebok clothing, and they gave us a pair of Reebok Nanos, and I think it was in the Nano too. And I hadn't worn Nanos in a while. Like I was all like Nike. I was always wearing the Nike Metcon.
Right.
But then I tried these Nanos, and I loved them. So now I'm back to Nanos.
It's funny the amount of people, because Nanos hasn't been like officially a brand sponsor for CrossFit in a long time now, and it's funny the amount of people who are still like, no, Nanos are the best shoe. You know.
I got away from them for a little bit. There was one, I forget whatever it was, maybe the 8 or 9, I don't know whichever one it was, did bother my foot, so I was like, I'm not wearing them anymore, and I started wearing Nike, and then from this competition, because we got a pair of shoes, I was like, I'll try them, and I was like, wow, I love these.
Yeah.
Because for me, I like running in them and also lifting. Like I feel like they're stable enough to do lifting them as well.
Totally. The two things you need in CrossFit.
Yes. So I was like, well, so I wear Nanos and they're comfortable. I generally wear them for coaching as well.
Awesome. Cool. And this is going to be probably a bit of a rabbit hole, or you can keep it short and sweet, up to you. But what are you doing right now for your personal fitness, for your workouts? I know training.
Yes, I'm training. Actually, like I said, I work with Greg Strootman, who works with Golden Line Training, and I decided it was probably just after the semifinals last year where I didn't quite make it, and I just decided to kind of dial it in more and get. Not that it wasn't serious before, but I decided to hire a coach. So all my workouts come from Golden Line Training and my coach. So that's what I do. And it's CrossFit. Yeah. But there's also a lot of like bodybuilding too as well. Like a lot of accessory work. So it's a mix of both. And it's been working. So
very cool. And so you're 2 weeks out now for today. So like where are you at in kind of like your program? Are you tapering yet or not quite?
Yet. Yeah. I think my guess is probably next week.
Yeah.
Although I just found out that they are going to release all the workouts before the competition, so I'm not sure how that will play in.
Interesting.
So
okay.
I'll message my coach later.
Is that something that is that a change from last year or?
I think in the past when it was with CrossFit, we'll say they did release some of the workouts beforehand, from my recollection.
Right.
I know typically with the Legends, like I've done 3 competitions with them, like they call it like the Legends Championship.
Yep.
They didn't release the workouts until like when you got there.
Sure, which is common for the elite level like games events. Yeah.
But they said they will be releasing them before, like starting next week. So I'm not sure how that will like play out, but I felt like the last couple of weeks I've been training has been pretty intense. And I was telling my coach, I was like, oh, I feel so like tired and like beat up. And he's like, that's totally normal. You're good. That's where you should be. So
pushing,
I was like, okay.
Pushing pedal to the metal a little bit right now.
He's like, don't worry. We'll tape you off, freshen you back up. You'll be ready.
And so, further question on that: when you were in Arizona and you did Legends, that was part of their championship series. So that's different.
Yes, it is different. So like the Legends, I think, as like a company and putting on these competition, like it was always typically in like December. They've been doing it. I want to say I've done the last 3, and I know there's maybe, I don't know how many before that, at least maybe 2, maybe 3. So they've been doing that for a few years, and they're still going to have that. Like even though they took over, like
the Masters and
the
teens.
Masters. Well, the teen is somebody else. The teen, they're doing like, I think it's pit throwdown.
Oh,
and then
you
also have the adaptive athletes.
Yep.
So the Legends is doing the Masters. But they're
Gotcha.
also still going to have that championship in December again, too. And it's going to be in Arizona again. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
So,
I was confused about that for a second.
Yeah,
so thank you for clearing that up for me.
So that's like a separate, because competition, I think, in the CrossFit community to have, like, it was like a separate, like, elite competition for Masters.
Like a Wadapalooza or something like that.
And it was strictly just Masters.
Okay. Even previously.
Yes.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, the name makes sense then.
Yeah. So that, and then that's why it's called like the CrossFit. I can't remember exactly how they worded it, but it's like the CrossFit Games put on by Legends.
Totally. Okay. Very cool.
For Masters. Yeah.
Next question. Switching gears slightly. I might know the answer to this just based on these 2 bleachers right here, which are very cool. Favorite sports team?
Actually, that's actually Keith, my partner. But I would say I don't really have like a favorite sports team. Out of all the sports, I do like to watch football. Like,
okay, yeah.
So probably like maybe the Patriots, but I don't have like a particular favorite.
Sure,
sports team.
sure. Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Those bleachers are cool. Where'd you guys pick those up?
Keith got them in a raffle. I'm looking off.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yes.
Next one we got is favorite cheat meal. So this, I'm guessing this is something that you're like, because you're so dialed in, you probably like really like your cheat meals, or maybe yours like you don't do them very much.
Lately, I have not been doing them, like I said, because I've been so like consistent with what I've been eating.
Yeah.
And I was saying that I gave up dairy and gluten. That started back in November. But previous to that, I would say I love chicken parm. I know that sounds so like.
Oh yeah.
I love chicken parm.
There's definitely some dairy and gluten. Typically, gluten is in the pasta.
Yeah, there's pasta and the bread, and then you have the cheese. But it is delicious.
Was that a? Because I know a lot of people do dairy and gluten just because it's like it just doesn't sit well. It doesn't digest as well, or.
Well, again, it was something I've learned, and they talked about at the seminar I went to in November, saying that it can cause like inflammation.
Sure.
So like I was just thinking, well, if there's anything I can do just to get a little bit better, so I was like, all right, I'll try it. And then I did notice with dairy and like cheese, even before I gave it up, sometimes it would just make me feel kind of like blah, or just like I don't even, it's not like
sluggish.
Yeah, like sluggish. So
cool.
Yeah. But
makes sense, and you've seen it's been working well for you.
it's been working, so I'm going to stick with the plan. So.
And you touched upon 2 of these already, but just seeing if there's anything else that you take. Favorite supplements. So I know you said the First Form protein.
Yep.
You mentioned BCAAs.
Yes.
That is hard to say. BCAAs.
Yes, right? See?
Yes.
Before the word. But I do, I take the BCAAs from First Form. I use their products. I also do use creatine. And the whey protein. I'm trying to think, what else do I take? I take fish oil. I think that's about it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, that's the good stuff.
Yep.
The basics. I know some people have like crazy long lists of stuff they take, but
I think, that's about it. That's all. That's what I use.
And creatine obviously is one of these supplements that's super, super popular. It's effective. It's safe, but I think there's a lot of people who are even still, like in 2024, like, oh, I don't know if I should take creatine. Like I think, and I could be generalizing, but I think I hear it more from like the female population too. Like, oh, I don't want to take creatine; it's gonna make me like bulky or whatever.
Yeah.
Or hold water weight. What anything? Because I know you just have a good background in nutrition. Anything you can say as far as like creatine pros, cons, benefits, why you take it?
Well, I take it because I think it does help with, I think like recovery and just building the muscle.
Totally.
And also they've done studies where it helps with brain health.
Yes, I've seen that too.
So
Yeah.
even like if I wasn't like now, I've been I put it, in my protein shake after I work out. But even before that, I was taking it even when I wasn't like so dialed in because of it can have positive effects on brain health.
Totally.
So
I've even seen
I think it depends on the brain too in terms of bloating. Like I never have found that. Personally.
Yeah. I've as people have brought that up to me, same thing. I've done some research and like I know a lot of the early on stuff they're saying like, oh yeah, it can cause bloating, but like I think a lot of that stuff is kind of like more like the myth side of things now.
I've never found that. There was one particular brand. It might have been maybe there was something else in it that was bothering me, but no, I don't have any problems with it.
I agree with that. So let's get into your background a little bit. So this is my first time being in Diamond. We're doing the podcast for people who are on Spotify or visual or audio only listeners. We're in the Diamond Hill CrossFit podcast studio right now. Which is a very, very cool gym. I mean, I love the tall ceilings. Like you guys got a ton of space in here. Yeah. The pictures on the walls, like the quotes, even just coming in with a sign. You get the quote from Abraham Lincoln. I'm gonna blank on what it says now, but
the best way to create your future is to create it.
Yeah, so I love it. Like a really cool gym, a really cool space you guys have here.
Thank you.
And you said this is, I think you mentioned to me, this has been around since 2013. Did I get that right? Yeah.
We opened, like our first official opening day was May 1st. That's when we started charging memberships. We did like a couple of weeks before, just for people to come in and try it out. So yeah, May 1st, 2013. That's when we first opened.
Over 10 years now.
Yep, over 10 years. We've been,
That's really cool. So how did you yourself, because I think these stories are always interesting, how did you yourself get into CrossFit? And then I guess kind of the next follow-up to that is how did you end up opening a gym?
I was going to say, so before CrossFit, I was doing like personal training and like boot camp style. And I actually did compete in figure competitions for a few years before CrossFit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when I decided I wanted to be a personal trainer as well. So I was working at a gym in Franklin, Mass. And like, I can't remember the name of the gym, but then they decided to open up a CrossFit. So there was like a more traditional gym, and then they wanted to open a CrossFit. And they asked if I wanted to become a CrossFit coach. And I would say at first, like, I was a little skeptical. I was like, what is, 'cause I didn't know a whole lot about it.
Yeah.
And I was deep into, like, more like the bodybuilding style training from being in figure. So at first I was a little skeptical. But I went through the level 1 seminar, and I was like, wow. Like,
blown away?
Yes, blown away. And
where'd you have your level 1?
I actually, at Reebok.
Yeah, same.
So that's where I went. Yeah, when they're... And it was like Austin Melliolo was there.
Same. Yeah.
So it was very impressive. And like, what's his name? That he does more like bodybuilding stuff now. Dave Lipson. Yeah.
Oh,
he was
Lipson,
there.
Yeah. No, I didn't know he was there.
He was there. He wasn't like one of the leads, but he was there when I did my level 1.
Sure.
What year? I think that was 2011 maybe, or 12.
Sure.
It was before 12 maybe.
Sure.
I can't remember the exact date. But I was very impressed, and just learning more about the methodology and just how professional they were.
Yeah.
I was blown away.
Yeah.
So after that, I was like, all right. And then just seeing how people, like the improvements they made, not just like physically, but mentally.
Yeah.
How it changed people as well, and just the community part of it. I know everybody always says that, but just the support that you receive, like in the CrossFit class or even like outside of the gym. I could say like in our gym here, just some of the connections and friendships people have made in life events that we've seen, with people and the support they got from members here. And
Yeah.
friendships friendships they have made.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Not just, and getting better physically.
Totally.
Is just, different about CrossFit.
Yeah, I noticed that because I agree. I think that's such a huge part of why it's effective, because you're doing it with other people and
Yes.
they're helping you out. And I think you guys do a really good job of like, because you can just say that, oh yeah, it's about the community, but I think you guys do a good job of explaining that on your website. Like this, like here's the benefits, but also like you have all this basically support group of other
Yep.
people. We're pushing you, and you're pushing them, and supporting you,
Yep.
and you support them. Like, yeah. So yeah, well done on that,
Yeah,
because the wording was really good.
So,
Um,
yeah.
so you did the level 1,
Yep.
and then started coaching at that gym in
Yep, and
Franklin.
it was called CrossFit Franklin at the time, and that's where I met my partner Keith, and we both, it really changed both of our lives. So I think we kind of connected on that way, and it was just at a point in my life where I was kind of like, my kids were growing up. I was like, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah.
And it was just the right time, and we just decided, let's open a CrossFit gym.
Very cool.
Everybody thought we were kind of crazy, including my family, but here we are, still, 10 plus years later.
Love it.
And still loving it. And I always tell whenever new members come in or someone's looking at the gym, I mean, I know CrossFit has gone through ups and downs.
Sure.
But as a workout, as a methodology,
Yes.
as health and fitness, I still love it just as much as the first day I started it.
Yeah.
Still find it challenging, and there's always something else to improve upon or learn, whether it's about the movements or just learning about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's still, for that part, it's amazing. I know, like I said, CrossFit has gone through ups and downs.
Sure. Yeah, it has had its issues over the years, but it's still kicking.
Yep, it's still here, because I think as like a training methodology and the improvements that it makes for people physically and mentally are like unmatched. Like, I do think it's one of the best programs, if not the best.
I agree.
Health and fitness program out there.
I agree. Yeah, my I have a few friends who went deep into CrossFit and then have kind of like branched out to do other things.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that happens with people. People will kind of try different things.
Yeah.
But I was talking to them. This was probably like a year ago or something like that, and they were saying like, if for methodology for fitness, like CrossFit hands down is like the best way to get fit.
It is.
and
I think it's made fitness, in some respects, I know it can be economically, it's, costly, but I think it's made it I don't want to say more accessible, but maybe more aware of for more people that you can do this, right?
Yeah,
and it's just like an hour a day.
Totally.
And every CrossFit
totally.
is run like a little bit different.
Yes. Yep.
So it's finding the right fit for you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that aren't in the CrossFit world don't fully understand that, like, oh, it's not like an F45 or an Orange Theory where everywhere in the entire globe is doing the same workout on the same day. Every gym kind of gets to decide, like, hey, this is how we're going to run our own, which is the beauty of it, too. So it's like, you can go to a gym you didn't really like very much. You go to a gym like, oh, this is the best thing ever, you know?
So it is, Yeah.
What do you guys, speaking of, what do you guys like for your programming? Do you guys like outsource it, or do you do your own?
We actually use CrossFit affiliate programming.
Nice.
We
Okay,
use CAP
cool.
programming.
Very
so we actually started when it was Ham Plan.
Oh, yeah. So you were doing CAP before it was CAP.
Yes. Yeah. So then we just stuck with it. And I think I like that they give us like the whole lesson plan from like the warm up. They explain the stimulus.
Yep.
And it's just like a whole outline for our coaches. And I think that was the other thing why we were kind of leaning towards that, because we wanted, like, our classes are like our product, right?
Sure,
And we wanted everyone to be getting a similar experience, right? So it gives a great outline for coaches, for our coaches to use, and we can all kind of run through it. And of course, like, every coach has a different personality, so they're going to bring something different to it in that respect, but everything's going to get covered the same for each class.
I've done CAP before, and I like that a lot, because, like, especially and I've done a little bit of CrossFit coaching, and especially as someone who's coaching, like, depending on how the workouts are written, you could almost like encourage the class on purpose or not on purpose to like have two totally different stimuluses. But if you have like the if you have like, hey, this is what the stimulus is supposed to be.
Yeah.
If you choose a weight too heavy and it takes you 20 minutes and not 10, you're doing a completely different workout.
Yes.
So like I like how like a lot of the workouts like with CAP and like some of the other programs too, like hey, this is what we're looking for.
And this is what should be happening. And like I said, I'm familiar with hand plan CAP. Like that's what we decided to use. But yes, in terms of stimulus, like so everybody's getting what they should out of the workout. And like you said, you're not having someone like go, oh, I'm going to go heavier than I should have, and it takes 20 minutes when it should have taken 10 minutes.
Totally,
right?
totally.
So
yeah, I like that. That's really cool. All right, so we got into the origin story a little bit, how things started. So kind of bridging the gap a little bit. You're going to Legends in 2 weeks. How did you get into the competition side of things? And maybe you drew from doing some of the figure. Have you always had the competitive spirit a little bit?
I think I've always been competitive, yes. Like, I mean, through college and high school, like, I played soccer. That was, like, my sport. So I've always been, like, a competitive person. Figure was a little bit different. Like, that was based purely, like, on aesthetics.
Sure,
so that's a little bit different. And, yeah, CrossFit I just found very, very appealing, right? And especially, like, when you're in a class, like, I mean, it's competitive, yes, no, or I guess like you don't want to place too much emphasis on that, but I guess like sometimes you can't help it, so it kind of like, just I don't know, like just because I'm a competitive person, I think that it just appealed to me. I was like, hey, let's see where I can go with this.
So I wrote down some stats that you had. So worldwide, 21st and 29th in that female 55 to 59 category in the past 2 years in the Open.
Yes.
In the Worldwide Open.
Yep.
So that's huge.
It was kind of fun to jump up to, the 55 to 59, but I did okay in the younger one, too.
Yeah. And then in quarterfinals, which a lot of people, because they are, especially in the last couple of years, are structured a little bit differently. And you can give me your 2 cents on that, too. But, like, Open is typically a little more, like, inclusive. Quarterfinals is a little more like, all right, you made it. Like we're going to throw some stuff at you.
That's going to be a little bit, a little more challenging, a little more, like, high-level gymnastics, things like that. Yeah.
So sometimes the people that finish really highly in the Open don't always finish highly in quarterfinals.
Yes,
but you did 10th and 12th place in the past 2 years in quarterfinals.
So, it was I think sometimes I probably have a strength in terms of some of the higher level gymnastics.
Sure.
For my age group, I would say.
Did you have any background in that, gymnastics? No?
Nope.
No? That's
Nope.
cool. Nice. Just learned it in the CrossFit gym.
Yeah, just learned it in the CrossFit gym, really, yeah.
And then past 2 years, 28th and then 7th in semifinals.
Yeah, that was, even for myself,
10.
I was like, wow, I didn't. Those workouts were tough in the semifinals for sure too.
Would you? So I didn't follow a lot of the semifinals or games programming. This year I did a little more. But what was any workouts that like stuck out for you that were tough or that you crushed?
Well, like I said, for our strength, they had a ring muscle up one with front squats. Even though I did get some reps taken away, but it was I think it started. It was like 12, 9, 6, 3 of front squats at 105, and then you did the same with ring muscle ups.
That's a lot of volume on ring muscle ups. That's tough.
It was like 30 ring muscle ups and 30. So, like I said, for whatever reason, and I don't have a background in gymnastics.
Yeah.
I did pretty well on that one. There was another one that had handstand push-ups in it. There was like a progression. It was chest to bar pull-ups, double unders, box jumps, and then I think it was strict handstand push-ups.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Those are no joke either.
No, those are no joke.
those you hit a wall real quick.
Yeah,
with.
you can. So that was a good workout for me. And another one that I did fairly, I'd say like middle of the pack, which I was surprised at, was it was a rowing and snatch workout.
Nice. And
the snatch got increasingly heavy. So you started at it was like 75, I think, and then we went to 95. 105. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, sure. Something in that range. Yeah.
And I actually surprised myself on that one because snatch is not typically a strength of mine.
Sure. Not one of your wheelhouse
not
movements.
Not one of my wheelhouse movements.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
And then, so I had this written down, but this must have been from the championship, the Legends Championship, 13th place in December.
Yep.
Very cool. And this was my question. I guess so this year was the first year they took Legends and made it its own thing instead of putting it in the same weekend as the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
Pros, cons, indifferent
I mean,
to that.
I don't really know because like this is the first time
Right.
I've made it to
Right.
the CrossFit like games, we'll say. So
Sure.
I don't know. I don't have anything to base it on, like, because I don't have that experience of being when it was with, the CrossFit games, we'll say.
Totally.
When you were with the open category. So I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it yet, I'll say. Or I don't know if I would ever because I don't have a comparison.
The comparison, which is fair enough. Yeah.
So.
Very cool. Yeah, because I know there's a lot of debate around that, but was just curious from your standpoint.
Well, I mean, the Legends competitions that I have done, the first one I did back in, I think it was 2021, it was out in San Diego.
Okay.
And then the next year was in Cookeville, and this past year was in Arizona. And I think the guys that run it do a great job.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
And that's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I thought they did very well.
Very cool. That's awesome. And those are 3 cool places to go as well for travel.
San Diego was very nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know we touched upon it or hinted at it earlier that I wanted to like kind of dive a little more into the nutrition part of things with the gym. So like I said, like a lot of CrossFit gyms and like you said, the pyramid, like nutrition is important, but I think most CrossFit gyms don't. From what I've seen, like they focus on the workouts.
Yeah.
They're not focusing on nutrition. But like when I was checking out your guys' Instagram, checking out your website, I mean like nutrition is like at the forefront of like what you guys are doing. Like I think even the name is Diamond Hill CrossFit in nutrition.
Yeah, we did. We kind of made that a brand change a couple of years ago. It actually kind of started with COVID, right? So we had run a survey and people said they were more interested in having a more formal nutrition program.
Yeah.
So I looked at some different companies, and then Healthy Steps Nutrition, the company that we work with, the founder, Nicole Marchand, she actually owns a CrossFit gym in Florida. So she understands too, like that's where she started, like CrossFit. Well, she's a registered dietitian, but she brought the 2 pieces together, and they have like they call it like a turnkey program that is, structured. It offers a lot of content and support that we could just pull into the gym, because I think that might be the trouble for a lot of gym owners, coaches, that you don't know how to incorporate it into the CrossFit. So this was a great solution because they gave us a lot of support. They give us like social media posts. All the information we get is from registered dietitians and things like that. So that's why we went with them. And they have like monthly mentoring calls. It's myself and another coach here.
Cool.
Rana Rockwell is also one of our coaches, and you have to go through their programming. So like a course they offer to learn about nutrition and coaching. So yeah, and I think that was just a good way for us to integrate it more into our gym by working with Healthy Steps Nutrition.
The members spoke and you guys listened.
So yeah, that's what we're trying to do here. And I think it's still, at first, people when they first come in, they're always like, oh, CrossFit. But then they realize, I gotta, nutrition is important. Wow, we gotta make some changes there if I really want to see the results.
And it's cool, like even if like when I was on your guys' website too, like you have tons of free recipes that are just like tons of recipes that are just listed on there.
And that is also like through Healthy Steps Nutrition, right?
Okay.
So but I think that's great. It's a great resource for members.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what to make, or I don't know how to make it. Like,
here
it's all right there.
Yeah, and it's all right there. And most of the recipes are very easy and simple.
Sure.
Like, so even if you weren't like good at cooking or a little nervous about cooking, they're very user-friendly recipes, we'll say.
Right. And then once you do something once, like you're like, okay, that wasn't like the worst thing in the world. I can do it. I know how to take it quicker the second time. It's just about doing it.
Yep, just practice. Like getting in the reps, get better.
So someone that's coming into the gym, do you guys do like any sort of like nutrition, like onboarding or anything with them, or?
Well, we do offer like when a new member is coming there, someone checking out the gym, you know, trying to decide if they want to join, we do one-on-one meetings with a coach. Like either generally it's myself or Rana, the other nutrition coach, and we just kind of sit down and talk with them for about 20 to 30 minutes about what their goals are, what they're looking for, and then we tell them what we have to offer. And yes, we do start with nutrition and how that can make a difference. And we offer like a we call it like a get started program.
Yeah.
That's like 12 weeks. That does have like the CrossFit in it as well as nutrition to get them started.
A full package.
Yeah, full package.
Yeah. And with the healthy, I know there's and we kind of talked about it earlier, like there's a ton of information out there with nutrition.
Yes.
The Healthy Steps Nutrition is, what's their, do they have any methodology that they follow, or is it, yeah, go ahead.
So, I mean, it's based on eating whole foods. So, like, they have three, principles, like whole foods first. You always want to have whole foods. Eliminating added sugars and processed foods. And using, like, balance. Like, so each of your meals and snacks should have a balance of fats, carbs, and protein.
Sure.
And there's one method, very simple method that we use with clients when you talk about in the gym, excuse me, is called the plate method, right?
Okay.
So it's just a very easy way to start, and it helps with portion and also getting that balance. So it's like filling half your plate with non-starchy veggies. So think like the greens, broccoli, cauliflower, those types of vegetables. And then a quarter of it would be starches, like your sweet potatoes, rice, brown rice, things like that. And then a quarter of protein.
Gotcha.
Right? And that's just a very basic way to start.
Yeah.
And then depending like on the needs, like someone who might be looking more for performance, and maybe it's going to look a little different. And we also offer programs like if you don't eat meat, right? You don't eat animal proteins, you're plant-based, right? You just do plant, or maybe you only eat chicken. So we work with the clients one-on-one and personalize it to help them reach whatever their goals are. But like, for instance, that's just like a very basic place to start.
No, that makes sense. You meet people where they're at.
Yes.
Like if someone comes
CrossFit.
in. Yeah, right.
Meet people where they're at.
If someone comes in and they're like, Lisa, they have an allergy. Like, all right, well, obviously we'll work around that. But what if someone comes in, they're like I want to be keto? We kind of still,
we will work with them, but I think there is a lot of, and not that keto, I think diet does have a purpose. I think medically they have helps a certain population. Not that we wouldn't say don't do keto, but it's like, let's learn about why you're doing it. Like, and what are the results you're getting? Why do you want to do this? Like, so diving in a little bit more deeper into that with the client. Like, why is this appealing to you?
Makes sense.
So kind of learning about that versus just being like, oh, don't do this. Or like, yeah, let's do this. Like, just kind of taking the time to listen and learn what their goals are and what their feelings are about,
Yeah, like giving them education.
And education and support and talking about it rather than just saying do this or do that.
Right. Do you guys, I know you said like when you in the more the performance side of things, do you do like, is it macro tracking stuff as well, or not as much?
I mean, personally, I do, but like I said, it also depends on the level of knowledge where the client is too, right? So I'm not going to have someone do macros who doesn't really understand macros, right? So you have to start with that basic education, or maybe they, just educating more on that. So I shouldn't say maybe they think they know, but just talking about it and giving more education and support.
Totally.
And like we have, like once you're in the program, we do monthly in-person meetings. Like that's like our basic, like could call it like standard accountability. And if you want higher accountability, we'll meet with you twice a month. We always check in with our clients. Once a week, we do like a video check-in. They can always answer questions. We have an app that they use, the Healthy Steps Nutrition app. So just giving them education around it and really understanding what they are wanting and how they're going to get there.
Yeah.
So
I think that's
whether
huge.
it's counting macros or just taking pictures of your food, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that's huge. Like, if it's too complicated or too much, like people aren't going to do it.
No.
Yeah, so you got to figure out what they want.
Yeah, and it can be as complicated as they want it. If we thought someone wanted to track their macros, we could support them through that. But they'd have to be ready for it.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Switching gears slightly, One question I had is one question for now that I had was a lot of people, and you probably hear the same thing, is like oh, I don't want to do CrossFit, like it's, you know, I'll get injured, or like I maybe I've done it somewhere else and I didn't have a good experience, or like a lot of times people say like I'm not fit enough, or
yes, we hear that a lot, actually.
or I'm like I'm too old, like you hear all those things. So you don't have to touch upon every single one of those, but I guess let's start with the like the age one. I mean, obviously, like a lot of the CrossFit gyms I've been to, like you do see like a wide range of like ages of populations of fitness levels in general. So I guess where do you think that myth comes from? And then I guess can you explain how like that's not the case, not true?
I mean, I think just maybe we'll talk about maybe age, or if you've never worked out before.
Sure.
Because I mean, I think it can be a little bit scary or intimidating to step into like a CrossFit gym, or any gym for that matter, if you've never been working out before and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Right.
Right.
So I think that is scary.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, maybe people think they're too old. Like, I'm not going to be able to do that, and it's not going to make a difference. And but it does. I think, there's studies that are out, like, there's that saying, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And that's very, very true. So it doesn't matter what age you are, just come in and start. I think that's really important, to come in and start. But I can understand, it would be very scary and intimidating to come into the gym.
Right.
So, like, we here at Diamond Hill CrossFit, we really try to make it less intimidating and less scary. And we tell when someone's coming in and looking at us, like, you looking, I know, should I join here? Like, we want to meet them where they're at, just like you had mentioned, like with nutrition. It's the same thing. We're going to meet you where you at, where you are at with your fitness level.
Totally.
Like, we're not going to have you do something that you're not ready for, right? We're going to start to prepare you to be ready for that. And it can be simple as like someone like just taking a squat. Like, maybe they're not ready to squat down below parallel. That's okay. Yeah. We can work with that. So you start above parallel. We start to build your muscle strength, your tendon strength, all of that, and get you ready to squat below parallel, get you ready to squat with weight. So we're going to meet you where you're at.
Totally.
And there are some people, like, some people don't want to go upside down. We're not going to, like, make you go upside down.
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
so trying to get people, comfortable and confident.
Yeah.
Slowly over time, not like right away.
I wonder too if it's a thing that where like people will see stuff on Instagram of like some of the games athletes. Oh, I could never do that.
For sure.
It's like
no, that's true. And I should. No, I think that is true. Like, if you just Googled CrossFit and you see more like the CrossFit Games, you're going to think, oh, that's what they do, but that's not what we do, right?
Yeah.
I could say I do that as a choice, but that's something that I wanted to do.
Sure.
But you don't have to do that, and it can be very effective and get you into shape.
Right.
And improve your health. So,
right.
Yeah, but I do think, Instagram and all that, that's where it can come from.
People get intimidated by it. It's like, no, you don't have to do like the ring muscle up. Like,
no, you don't.
Ring rows are okay.
Like,
or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
I do ring rows in my program now. Like, so, it's just wherever you're at, and we'll help you get to where you want to go.
Totally. I think people, like, if they understood that every workout was like pretty much like infinitely like modifiable, like up or down, they'd be like, oh, like
it is.
I can. Then I think that probably goes into the next point of like, do you have to be quote unquote fit to do CrossFit?
You do not, but I know that is a big thing that we hear a lot. People saying like, well, I'm going to come back in a couple months when I get fit, and then I'll join CrossFit. And I'm like, no, you're going to get fit by doing CrossFit.
Right.
But that, it can be hard to overcome sometimes. But yet we've had members here for years that this is their first experience in a gym.
Sure.
Right? And they just stuck with it.
Yeah.
And they've become fitter. So.
Yeah. Just go slow. Start easy. Learn the movements.
Yes.
Magic happens.
Yes, it's true. Be consistent and start out slow. I know you're gonna have some people that come in and that are really gung ho and excited, right? And sometimes you have to tamper them down.
Yeah.
A little, but
I mean, to your point, like, that's how I got hooked.
I was
like
gonna say
the first time I did it, it was like, oh my God, that was
Yep.
so hard. Like, I got to do it again.
Yep.
You know?
No, I
It's
mean,
like-
I would say yes because I have that competitive personality. I was the same way for
Yeah.
me. Like, personally, I was like, oh, yeah, this is like,
Totally.
but,
Yeah. I think too with me, like, when I came in, because you may be the same, like, because I had been weight training for so many years before that, like, just like doing like typical like gym bro stuff. I kind of almost like unknowingly had like an ego going. I'm like, oh, I'll be able to crush this, no problem. And that's where like my ass got handed to me a little
You're
bit,
like,
and it's like, all right, put
Yep.
the ego aside. Like, this is something different. This is something new.
no, yes, totally. Yes.
So, a couple wrap-up questions for you here. So, any goals for either for you or the gym? I mean, probably Legends is a big thing on your mind right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
This
That's
year
consuming.
or beyond.
I mean, at this point, like I said, I have been, I'll admit, very consumed with the last, months wanting to, as my personal goal to make it to the CrossFit Games. So I've been very focused on that and haven't thought too much beyond that.
Which is
to
fine,
be
yeah.
honest right now. But for the gym, I want us to just keep growing and keep helping people, become, like they say, the best version of themselves, to educate people on nutrition, on working out, and safely.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
when people are hesitant, when someone's new is coming in and they're nervous about, well, will I get injured? I'm like, I mean, there's always the possibility, but we don't want you to get injured. That's not what we want to do here. We want to keep you healthy.
Right.
That's what we want to do.
Totally.
So
Yeah, I mean, like, to echo your point there, like, someone I had on the podcast recently, Dr. Amy West, she's a doc out in, do you know if her actually? I think she did Legends.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think she might be either below or we're not in the same category,
Sure.
but yes, I've heard her.
She's been a big proponent on her Instagram and her platforms, talking, because as a medical doctor in the orthopedic setting,
Yeah.
like, that's her thing.
Yeah.
And she's like a big proponent of, like, hey, like, here's the research, here's the studies, like, there is not an increased risk in CrossFit versus regular
Yeah.
weight training versus
Yeah.
Olympic lifting versus
Yeah.
powerlifting. It's like, it's all the same. I mean, when you
Yeah.
look at something like football, soccer, baseball, the rate of injuries for that stuff is like, I forget the multiplier, 2, 3, 4 times multiplier compared to like this
Yeah.
type of weight training. So
I mean, yes,
the data's there.
the data is there to support that. It's
Yeah.
not any, but people just, like I said, I think they're a little nervous, a little scared.
Yeah,
And-
totally.
Or I'll talk about, you might, I mean, I've gone through different like shoulder injuries and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be able to deal with that by like going to a PT or
Sure,
things like that,
sure.
rather than ending up with like some type of chronic disease or being on heart medication or not
Yeah.
being able to live that independent life that I want to live.
Right.
I don't want to be a burden to my kids
Right.
when I'm older. I want
Right.
them to live their lives fully and me to live my life fully.
Yeah.
And I think CrossFit can help you do that.
I think that's a good point. I like that. So anything? So final wrap up questions here. Anything else? Any events or anything you guys coming up? I saw you guys run the I saw at least L2 courses here. Is that true?
No, we have
No.
not. No.
No, okay.
No.
Uh,
We've tried, but
Yeah, I saw one pop up on my because I was looking to do one
Yeah.
this past year. I ended up I was in Chicago for family, so I ended up doing it in Chicago. But
wow, cool.
I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's like right down the street.
Yeah,
But it
that's
didn't end up working out for timing
Oh.
purposes. But I almost came here for it, so I did see that.
no, I don't. We've been trying maybe to get something, but we haven't. But
Yeah. Any other events or anything coming up for the gym?
I don't think. No, we don't have any.
No.
And not at the moment. We'll say
Cool.
that I can.
Anything else you want to plug, shout out? And obviously Diamond Hill CrossFit is probably the big one.
Yep.
Yeah, love it.
Come check us out. But also, I just like to shout out to just like all our members and our coaches here. Like, it's a great. I mean, I'm biased, of course, but I think it's a great community. And even this past year, with the goals that I've had, the support that I've got from the community has been unbelievable, and just our coaching team as well.
Awesome, love it.
So thanks to them and the community.
Love it. So last question. This is something I stole from Tim Ferriss. Do you know of him? He's another podcaster. Yeah.
Yep.
So he's on. and I haven't heard his podcast in a while. I don't know if he still does it, but he used to have this question: if you had a billboard for a day.
Yep.
So you know this,
Yeah, because I read it, but I remember I used to listen to him sometimes, and I was like,
he's
oh,
good.
Yes. I'm like, okay.
So you guys are you closer to 295 or 95 here in Cumberland?
295.
295. That's the way I came in. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
295.
So I don't think they have too many billboards on 295, but
I don't
so you
think
get
so either.
you get a billboard on 295
I'm
and for the day.
That would be great because we'd be like the only one. No, just kidding.
Yeah, right. You get all the eyes on it.
Oh my
But
God.
you could put whatever you want on it. Usually it's maybe something like a favorite quote or maybe something you want to say to your community, or you could just put a big "Come to Diamond Hill CrossFit," you know,
Come
sign
to
on there.
Diamond Hill CrossFit. I mean, I saw this question in the outline, and I was like, oh man, what would I say? I'm like, I don't even. There's different. I'm like, was trying to think about it. I mean, I have this quote over in my. I keep it in my bedroom. It says like, "Wish it, dream it, do it."
Love it.
I mean, and also like tying into that, I think it's C.S. Lewis quote that's like, "You're never too old to dream a new dream."
That's cool
right?
too. I haven't heard that one. I like both of those.
And that is sort of speaking to like when we talked earlier about like, oh, if someone's too old or like, can I do this? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't start Olympic lifting or any of the CrossFit till I was in my mid-40s.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I love that.
you can do it.
Never too old to dream a new dream.
Yep.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, we'll mic drop with that. Good stuff.
Thank
You
you.
crushed it.
Thank you.
You-
It's very nice for having me on the podcast. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
Rhody Strength, we are signing off.